What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mets Talk. And today we got a lot to talk about because there's been a lot that's happened. Mets made a couple signings. They signed Narvaez, Quintana, bring NIMMO back, signed Robertson and Senga. And we also have to talk about the departures of Bassett, Walker Williams, and Trevor May. We'll talk about that and more here. So before we jump into it, leave a like if you do enjoy what you're seeing. Subscribe if you really enjoy it, and turn on your notifications if you're watching on YouTube, audio version. Leave a rating and review. But we got a lot. We got a lot, and let's just jump right into it. We'll start with the departure of Bassett, Walker, Williams, and May. So if you don't know where they went, Chris Bassett signed with the Blue Jays. I don't remember the contract that each of these guys got. Walker signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. And Trevor Williams signed with the Nationals. Why? And Trevor May signed with the Oakland A's. Why? I don't know why for the majority of these. Outside of Bassett, that's the only signing that really makes sense to me. I don't understand why Trevor May, though, to the A's. That one's so bizarre to me.
That one was weird because there was like a report saying, wasn't it like they signed him and then he had no idea? Something along those lines.
Yeah,
It
there was something
was.
like that.
Yeah,
But
that was weird.
yeah, he signs with the A's, which I don't understand why
Me
the A's.
neither.
1 year, 7 million, I think, was the contract there.
Mm.
Actually,
At least it's 1 year.
yeah, and I thought the Mets should have done it, but for 7 million, never mind. I liked Trevor
Mhm.
May, but I wouldn't have gave him a $7 million contract again because he was just here for 7 million for the past two. I surprised the Oakland A's of all teams spent money.
I
Props
know.
to them for them spending some money, and I guess he's going to be the closer there until he's dealt at the deadline inevitably.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
maybe the Mets bring him back then. Who knows? But I'm gonna miss Trevor May. I think that he was a great personality for the Mets on and off the field. So that's a guy that I definitely will miss. But for
Yeah.
7 million, I don't think the Mets are gonna regret that one.
Yeah, as you said, I like Trevor May. He had a great personality, brought a lot, I feel like, to the clubhouse, and I feel like there was multiple things that got in his way over the past year um, for him, like emotionally. So it sucks for him, and we all felt for him, and we wanted to see him be a Met again this year, no doubt about it, but it just couldn't happen. 7 million is a bit much, and the Mets definitely did not want to elect to go that route. And we made another signing in the bullpen that we're going to talk about later, and we're probably not more to come. So the departure sucks, but we wish him well for sure.
And he might be the only starter in the All-Star game for the Oakland A's as well. So I guess maybe he wanted that. I don't know. But he'd get some great vlog content if he went to the All-Star game. I could say that
Oh
for sure.
boy,
So uh but yeah, Trevor May, we'll miss him. Trevor Williams, another guy that I'll end up missing as well. I wanted
Mhm.
him back badly, but it makes sense why from the Mets side of things and from his side of things why he ended up leaving. For his side of things, he wanted to be a starting pitcher. And the Washington Nationals are definitely a destination that could accommodate that, considering the fact they are a garbage team. So
Yes.
they could accommodate that. The Mets just couldn't do that. And for the money that he signed for, it didn't make sense when you have internal options to fill in his role from last year, which who I don't think anyone's going to do it as good as he did. I don't think McGill or Peterson or Lucchese, whoever they elect to put in that role, is going to do it as good. But you still have options there for that role.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Trevor Williams, he was good for the Mets, honestly. I think for the most part, going from starting pitcher in the bullpen, wherever he was, I mean, I think he did a solid job for the most part. And as you said, the Nationals are always going to be desperate for some pitching or anywhere. So why not
I'll
take
play
a
anyone.
take a little flyer on Williams? And I mean, as we've been saying, the Mets have been making accusations, and they're just kind of letting these guys walk. And I mean, I don't have too much of an issue with it, so, but I definitely wish Trevor Williams well because he did as much as he could for the Mets when we called his name.
Yep. And then you have the bigger two names, Taiwan Walker and Chris Bassett. Taiwan Walker,
Why'd you do it to us,
Phillies?
man?
The Phillies?
Come on, out of
Why?
all teams. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you called with Taiwan going to the Yankees, and this is just as bad. I
This is
remember from free
worse.
agent predictions.
This is worse. Ugh.
Yeah.
And he signed for 4 years. I think it was 76 million, something
I
like
think
that.
so. Yeah, somewhere in that
Because
ballpark,
it was like a
100%.
little bit more than Senga ended up getting in terms of the total dollar amount.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm gonna miss Walker, no doubt, even though in the second half we know the meltdowns and everything that are popularized here by us Met fans because we as Bassett says, we get on the players too much, but we'll talk more about Bassett in a minute. But Walker, he was a solid Met and
Mhm.
another guy that I did like his personality as well. So it sucks to see him going again. The Phillies also. Oh, I want to vomit.
Yeah, it makes me want to puke. We're gonna have to be seeing him a couple times. As you said, a good personality again. He brought a lot. Um, he was inconsistent in my opinion. He would be good, he'd be bad. Um, so he was like a tough one. We didn't really know if the Mets would bring him back or not. Uh, I mean, we're just seeing a lot of starting pitchers depart for them next year. It's going to be a whole different rotation almost, besides a few guys. So we we don't really wish Taiwan too much well here because he's on the Phillies, but we'll miss him certainly.
Yeah, 100%. And then, oh, Bassett, when he said to
Chris
Walker,
Bass.
"You look better
Oh,
in
you look
red,"
better in red. What are we doing?
and then he puts a thank you post out there for the Mets the next day.
Yeah.
Okay,
What do you want, Bassett?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of the guys I wasn't a big fan of Bassett. What were your
Mhm.
feelings on him?
Again, I was mixed on Bassett. He was okay. He went long ways for the Mets. He would give us 7 innings, good amount of the games which I liked, but some games he just get rocked. I mean, I don't know what the thing was with him, but he wasn't a guy really I wanted to see back too much. So I'm glad the Mets didn't elect the route of getting him back. Um, but again, I mean, when they traded for him, I had pretty high expectations. I knew he was a solid pitcher, but I don't know if he certainly like met them. But what are your thoughts?
Um, his comments after Game 3 were
Ah,
the
yeah,
reason
those are
that
not fun.
I have feelings against Bassett. The fact that he was like, "Oh, well, we're getting discredited for 101 wins in the regular
I
season
know.
based off a 3-game series."
I mean,
I'm
we
sorry.
expect that
That
to be
3-game
backed up.
series was to keep your season alive, Bassett. And I'm sorry, you didn't pitch well enough in that game. I'm sorry, you didn't pitch well enough in Atlanta. I mean, his comments at times just were really what aggravated me. And then there were times
Mhm.
where he'd talk about how, oh, New York's too tough and everything on him. It's like,
The lights are too bright for him.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Would you rather go pitch back in Oakland? Because I'm sorry, but this is what it is. And the fans had every right to be pissed with how you guys performed down the stretch. So,
Yeah.
because that was the other thing, he was one of the main leaders of the pack there that would always be going up to the media and talking about the regular season record and everything, and talking about
Mhm.
how, oh, we have a safe division lead and all of that. But
You blew that, and then you get wiped in three. A lot of the cards. So
yep, and his comments never was a fan really of that aspect of him, but with pitching, I wasn't too against him. I thought that he was definitely a consistent starter for you, and
mm-hmm.
he gave a lot of innings. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any feelings against him when it comes to on the mound things, and I'll miss him there. But when it came to off the mound, I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes he
questionable
just needed
comments.
to shut up. He just needed to shut up at times because welcome to New York, buddy. And
Mm-hmm.
the last thing
That's
I do want to
absolutely.
talk about before we talk about the signings, everybody mark your calendars for April 17th to the 19th and July 14th to the 16th. Do you know what's happening on those days, Nico?
I do not, but I have a little bit of suspicion
That's
that.
right. You mark those calendars because Noah Syndergaard is coming to town in a few of those dates, and the Mets will be going to Los Angeles. Therefore, we will not be seeing
Oh,
Noah Syndergaard pitch. So you can mark your calendar for those days that he will not be pitching. So just wanted to get that one out of the way as well. Book club boy, we know that he likes to duck the Mets, so
He
it
does.
is what it is there. So mark those calendars. Were you thinking it was about the Rangers and DeGrom?
I knew the Rangers. Wait,
That's in
I think
August.
they're late August. Yeah, I didn't think it was that. I don't know. I was thinking no, I was thinking either like one of those pitchers like returning. So I know Syndergaard completely kind of got me off guard there.
Oh, yeah. He we know he's gonna duck those duck them
Yeah,
again. And
for sure.
on SNY, I forgot who it was that said it, but he's just like everybody knows Syndergaard is signed with the Dodgers, so mark those calendars. You could guarantee that series in April and July he will not be pitching. That was just
That's a great
legendary.
tweet. Yeah.
No, he didn't even tweet it. He said it on air on SNY.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
I did
that
not
was
know that.
that was great.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
let's talk now about some signings, and let's talk about one where we could just say hallelujah. Omar Narvaez, 2 years, 15 million. And you probably are wondering, why are we saying hallelujah to Omar Narvaez? No, it is not Omar Narvaez we're saying hallelujah to. We're saying hallelujah because this means more likely than not, James
James
McCann will be out
McCann.
the door very soon. And to that, hallelujah. And you can't get much worse than James McCann. And Narvaez isn't awful in his own right. We know the Mets absolutely love platooning. So
Oh
now you get
no.
a lefty bat and you have a righty bat when it comes to the catching position. So we know they love their platooning, and now you have the opportunity to do that. Narvaez does this weird thing where he'll be good 1 year and then just awful the next year. If that pattern continues, we're going to get a good year from him this year, which is
Nice.
good news. But if it doesn't continue, then oh boy, this could be possibly just as bad as McCann, if not worse. Also, did want to mention quickly before you give your thoughts that the 2 years, I think the second year is a player option for
Yes,
Narvaez. So
there was definitely some sort of option. I think it was
yeah.
player.
So
Um,
your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, this is a great signing for the pure fact James McCann is going to be heading out the door pretty damn soon, we'd assume, and we'll be the first ones to drive him right to the airport, wherever that destination is. So I'm happy with that. Omar Narvaez, as we said, I mean, the Mets love the platooning. We got him, and then we got Tomas Nido. We have Francisco Alvarez. So you're probably wondering, what are the Mets going to do with these three catchers now? And
Maybe
as
carry
you
all
said,
three.
yeah, carry all three. We could all see them on the opening day roster. Who knows? I mean, it's just going to be, a matter of who's the hot bat and who is just the guy who's going to be the guy for the Mets. We all expect it to be Francisco Alvarez, definitely down the road, but starting off, I don't see that. I see it as a Nito and Narvaez swap. Whenever we have a righty, we go to Nito. I don't know why I keep saying Nemo, but and then when we verse lefty, you see some Narvaez.
I find it interesting that they gave him that option because I really wonder now next year if he opts in what they're gonna do with catching, because by then Alvarez should be on the everyday roster,
Yeah,
and you're probably not gonna want to get rid of Nita, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they do down that road. But that's tomorrow's problem, not now's problem. For now, you got an upgrade over James McCann, and I'm looking at the splits because I wanted to see how he was against lefties versus righties. He actually was statistically better versus um, lefties this year. Granted, in a way smaller sample size, but
hmm
he was not necessarily good in general this year. When it comes to something that's interesting, the guy couldn't hit in Milwaukee if his life depended on it for whatever reason. The guy hit 161 last year at home, hit 240 on the road. I don't know what the reasoning is for that, but
Oh no! Don't do that at City Field, please.
yeah, the guy just couldn't hit in Milwaukee, and City Field's more difficult to hit in. So, oh boy,
Yeah,
a little scary there.
can't can't be worse than James McCann though. At the end of the day,
Yeah, there's no way it's possible. There's just no way. I do want to see how he is defensively as well, because that
mm,
is something that is
that's very important.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's actually pretty solid defensively, but his best offensive season came in the 2019 season where he had a 120 WRC plus, hit 278 that year, 460 slugging, 353 on base. So he has the potential there. He was an all-star also in 2021 with the Brewers, I believe, as well. So he definitely could still be a solid catcher there. And yeah, his framing is one of the best in baseball. He's in the 89th percentile there. But
Oh
my
yeah.
God, his sprint speed is
Oh boy.
he's in the second percentile in the sprint speed.
Damn.
25th in max exit velo. But if you go back to 2021 again, those numbers get a lot better, and uh, there is a lot there to like about him. If he could produce like he did in 2019, even if you get like a 230 average from him, you get, I don't know, a 600, 700 OPS. I think nobody's really complaining there. You're getting an upgrade there over McCann automatically, which again, it's hard not to at this point. So you'd be getting an upgrade there. And for as bad as he was last year, he still had a 1.1 WAR. So there's something to that. So
Yeah.
I like the signing, and I think it's a low risk, high
High
reward
reward.
signing there.
Absolutely. It's a cheap deal. And there's a player option after year one. So I'm completely fine with it. Just more depth signings. So we've been beating that drum here that we want to, sign these veteran guys and have hitters that have the experience. Simple as that.
Yep, 100%. And the last thing on Narvaez, I'll say, they have his projections here on Baseball Reference for next year. They have him hitting 233 with a 669 OPS, 357 slugging, 312 on base. If we get that, 8 home runs, 38 RBIs, I'm not
Hey,
complaining from that at
I'll
all.
take it.
I'll take it over James McCann, where, oh my God, if you played a drinking game and you took a shot every time he hit into a double play, you might need medical
Oh
attention.
no.
You're going
Oh
to need
gosh.
medical attention there. But all we could say is hallelujah. Now just ship Darren Ruff off next. So then we'll be on our way. There's also the rumors about Carrasco being maybe on the move along
Hmm.
with McCann and Ruff. So we'll see what happens there. I think they should keep Carrasco personally and run with a 6-man rotation, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that.
Um, I don't know. Wait, you said run with a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Um,
My reasoning for it is you have Scherzer and Verlander at the top of your rotation. Senga, a guy coming
okay.
from Japan, where in Japan they pitch, the pitchers pitch once every week versus every 5 days. So
Right.
they run with a 6-man rotation there, so to
Mm-hmm.
help him acclimate to the MLB. Carrasco, we know that he has concerns himself. Also, the only guy that I really don't have concerns with going out there every 5th day personally is Jose Quintana when it comes to giving you consistency.
Um, I would be fine with it honestly for maybe like the first couple months. If that's a big adjustment obviously for Kodai Senga coming from all the way overseas to pitching in the major leagues. So I could definitely see that being tough on him and maybe struggling his first couple outings, which obviously could happen. Who knows? But yeah, as you said, Carrasco has his moments too. You obviously have your two top aces locked up at the 1-2. And then Quintana, I mean, he had a solid season last year. Hopefully, he could carry that on with them. But if they look to go six in the rotation to start for the first month or two, I'm not opposed to the idea.
Yeah, I think that that's the route they should go, but we'll see. You have a lot of options that you could use in that last spot: McGill, Peterson, Lucchesi, whoever they elect to use. I'd imagine it's probably going to be Peterson if I had to guess, but
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. But with this deal, the last thing I'll say is anyone complaining, hide the money. There's poor people around because you shouldn't be complaining. And speaking of hide the money because there's poor people around, Mets re-signed Brandon Nimmo for 8 years, 162 million. And my God, the amount of people complaining about this deal is
Uh,
absolutely absurd.
it
Wow,
is.
it's crazy that the second best outfielder on the market and the only other good outfielder on the market got this much money. Wow, I never would have thought that was going to happen. Can you believe it?
It's unbelievable. I mean, how it just blows my mind. Like if Brandon Nimmo walked, everyone would be complaining too. But now that he resigns for a good amount of money, everyone's complaining when everyone forgets Brandon Nimmo is still a very solid player, and you can't forget that. What the hell were the Mets going to be trotting out there in center field next year? I mean, who the hell knows? AJ Pollock? Like they couldn't do that. They had to do anything they could to bring back Brandon Nimmo, and I'm happy they did it. He was your leadoff guy. I don't know if he's going to lead off again next year because we talked about it. We don't know about him in the leadoff spot too much, but he brings great fielding. His bat. He rarely strikes out. He always puts the bat on the ball, so he gets on base, and that's what you want from a guy like Brandon Nimmo, and he does his job for us. Great clubhouse guy. We always hear about how much he does in that aspect. So I'm very happy to see the Mets re-signed him. I would have hated if he went to any other team, especially the Yankees, who were in the mix there. But he would never do that. He's loyal.
Blue Jays fans were funny.
Yeah, exactly. He's loyal, unlike
saw that
someone here with the Blue Jays. I definitely saw something. I don't know if I'm talking about the same thing.
There's these two fans that were streaming and talking about Nimmo potentially signing with them, and then he signed starting the stream.
Oh,
and then Robertson signed 5 minutes later, and they're like, "No, the Mets got Robertson too."
Oh no, I didn't see that. I gotta see that.
I gotta send you that clip after. But two things that I wanted to mention. If this was the Wilpon era, we know that they'd be trying Travis Jankowski back out there in center field next year, no doubt.
Yeah.
The other thing, I'm glad that you mentioned the leadoff spot with him because something that he mentioned during his press conference, he wants to start stealing bases. Hallelujah.
We prayed for times like that.
Thank you, because that is the reason why I don't like him in the leadoff spot. He does not steal bases. He has not touched double digits in the stolen base category in his entire career once. The closest he was in 2018, which I still think was his best season, where he had 9 stolen bases in 140 games. But
the top guy has to steal bases.
Yeah, 100%. And it's weird that he can't steal bases, but he led the team and led the league in general in triples this year, or at least the National League, which is absurd. But I find it interesting that he's never been an all-star also, which is kind of weird. But
it's common.
It definitely is. I think it's going to be a matter of him staying healthy this year and having a better first half. But the signing, yeah, you're right about everything you said. Has a great glove, and he puts the barrel on the ball every time. And you know what you're getting from him. You're getting consistent contact hitting from Brandon Nimmo. He'll always give you a 270-plus average every single year, and he'll always hover around the 800 OPS area. His past 3 years, it's mind-blowing. OPS plus 130 last year, 131 the year before, 145 in 2020, and then the outlier in 2019 where he was hurt most of that year. But 2018, like I said, his best year, 148 OPS plus, which was absolutely absurd that year. And home runs, I like a bit more power from him too. If we could show a bit more of that.
Oh, yeah.
If
the
he could get
contract's
to
gonna
20
look like
home
a steal.
runs, yeah, that contract
great.
would be a steal if he could get to up to 20 home runs at any point during that contract. Then he's obviously not going to stick in center field the entire contract. He's going to move to the corner at some point. So we'll have to see when that is. But for the time being, you need to do this. Like you said, who are you trying out there? Starling Marte? I don't think so. And you had to. And he was one of the only guys that could hit lefties this past year as well, which was, for whatever reason, an issue for the Mets. And something that is interesting, he was not a good hitter at Citi Field last year. He was
not. Yeah, he was a road warrior.
Yeah, he definitely is a road warrior. Maybe with the fences moving in a bit in right field, get our own little short porch Yankee Stadium style. Maybe then it will fix things. But I was going to mention the lighting there.
The lighting is doing horrible right now.
But while you try to fix that, I'm a fan of this, and they had to get it done. They had to, so no complaints from me whatsoever. And not a bad year from him last year, and we'll see if he could stay consistent.
I hope so. The Mets need that. It's a big contract, no doubt. but I have full faith that he'll live up to it and fulfill his contract here like perfectly, and maybe more if he can steal his bases and have more pop.
Yeah, especially in the leadoff spot. Steal more bases, please, if you're going to continue to hit leadoff. And another thing, I'd like to see a bit more RBIs from him as well. I know it's more difficult in the leadoff spot for him to get those RBIs, but we'd like to see those go up a bit if we can this next season, because last year was a career high. Let's see if that number keep going up. But
Yep.
yeah, we're gonna talk more about this in a minute because we'll talk about it now. Why not? The Mets signed Kodai Senga, 5 years, 75 million, and all I gotta ask is how did he sign for less than Taiwan Walker with the
That's
extra year?
nuts. Yeah, I'm so happy with this signing. We haven't obviously seen him pitch in the majors, but from what we've been seeing overseas, this guy's electric and has the upside to be a top pitcher in baseball. So the contract to me is so low risk, high reward. You're literally giving him 15 mil a year. So I mean, the Mets got their guy. They've been wanting Kodai Senga for a while now, and you knew Steve Cohen was gonna get it done. He was not losing. He was not losing out on these sweepstakes. He always gets his way. So Kodai Senga in a New York Mets uniform next year is going to be very, very interesting, and I think he's going to bring it. His velocity is unreal, and his stuff is just great.
Sorry, by the way, if anyone is gonna get on me for the spelling of his name, because I've seen it spelled both ways without the U in the name and with it, so leave me alone there with that. But yeah, Kodai Senga. Sorry to the viewer, by the way, if you're watching that got offended for whatever reason about my lack of knowledge with Kodai Senga. So that comment was interesting. He was telling me that I had no information whatsoever. And then in the same comment, he still said that I also was just repeating things that other people were saying. Okay. I'm sorry that I got the scouting report from people that are more knowledgeable than me. I'm sorry for repeating the information, and I'm sorry for my lack of information, even though apparently I repeated information. But with Senga, very happy with the signing. That ghost ball, disgusting pitch right there for him, and that's going to be the key. And from what I've heard, I'll make it clear. From what I've heard, he needs to work on a breaking ball slider type pitch, and it's not really a swing and miss pitch from him. He needs to work on that a bit, but outside of that, he's working with Driveline right now. He already is. We saw the video clip of him working with Driveline already, which is great to see. So
Wonderful.
he's gonna give you a lot, and he has the upside to be a number 2 level pitcher in this league. It's just a matter of him hitting on it. And yeah, this is a great comment. The only concern is that he's a bit injury prone later on in the season. I'm not sure if the Mets will take that into account.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a concern, his injuries. And I know he had a bit of elbow tightness and he wants to get velocity up, which is what also scares me is that, God forbid he needs Tommy John. God forbid.
Oh God, don't even say that. Imagine.
Oh, that would
We
be,
don't need that. We've had so many horrible things go our way. Give us nice things, please, baseball gods.
yeah, seriously. I can't deal with that at all. And the other concern you might have for Senga is that he's already 30 years old.
Hmm.
And that could also cause more concerns there. How much does he have in the tank when it comes to things? 5 years, I think, was the perfect amount.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he also was rumored to take less with us than the Padres, which is what you also like to see. It's just showing that the Mets are becoming a preferred destination. And maybe he was whispered in a bit about what the plan is for next offseason. I
Hmm.
don't know. But because there happens to be a Japanese superstar that's going to be on the free agent market next year. I don't know if you know him, but he might be the
Mm,
best player in the entire sport. But
just maybe.
uh, with Senga this past year, had a 1.94 ERA with the first team he was with, and then the other team that he was with, he didn't allow a run in 4 innings of work, which I don't know why he only got 4 innings of work there, but maybe that's because of injuries. And 156 strikeouts, not too bad there. Not at all. And he doesn't really I think the only concern you really have for him also is there are times where he walks a lot of batters. That's another concern. If he could limit the walks a bit more, that would be helpful for the Mets. But the potential's there, and I'm
Yeah,
excited. If he even gives you like a 3.5 ERA, I'm to the moon about it for this price.
exactly. Yeah, no doubt what you said. He just play like he's been playing overseas, and he's going to be completely fine. It's not like he's just going to fall off when it comes to the MLB, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's different, but I don't think anything too catastrophic. He is going to be the Mets' third guy. Has two insane veterans in front of him, and Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander to even learn from. So I don't have much concern with him at all. I think the contract's going to end up looking amazing in a year or two, and he's going to become a really top pitcher in the league. I would say like freaking top 10, 15. I just have that hope for him.
Completely agree. That's a bold take, but I do
Yeah.
agree with it that he could be that type of guy. And also, Senga, I know that you don't want to take 48, but please do it. Please take
Oh,
48.
that would be I saw he tweeted. He's like 48 is not available. You just do it.
Do it,
Do it.
please. If not, 34 to take Book Club Boy's number. I
Book
wouldn't
club.
mind that either
That'd be great.
if he decided to do that. But yeah, very happy with the Senga signing as well. So I don't know how you can complain really at all about this signing. So
Mm-mm.
now we'll move on to the kind of the more boring signing of the group, but definitely an interesting one. Jose Quintana signed for 2 years, 21 million. Just a nice rotational piece. And this is a guy that could be a number 3 starter in the rotation. So say Senga
Mm-hmm.
flops a bit, or God forbid he gets injured. You have a guy now internally that has that ability to be your number 3 starter. He's kind of a boring pitcher. Like, he's not going to excite you at all when you go, if you go out to City Field and you're like, you're not going to mark on the calendar when Jose Quintana's pitching because you need to see him pitch.
Right.
But if you're going out to City Field a day that he happens to be pitching, you're not expecting much of excitement there. You're expecting a guy that's going to probably allow 3 to 4 runs every start, and that's going to give you innings. He's going to give you 6 innings probably every fifth day, or maybe every sixth day, depending if the Mets go with that 6-man rotation. But he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on for, to be a sneaky pitcher in this rotation. And his expected numbers were a lot worse than his actual numbers. That is for sure. The other thing that's interesting, you now have 3 starters in this rotation that started game 1 of their respected series. So very interesting there for the Mets, and I'm a fan of the signing, especially at the
Yeah.
price. You can't go
Mm-hmm.
wrong with Jose Quintana here at this price.
Yeah. 2 years, 21 million is good in my opinion. Only 2 years, so I'm happy with it. He was on the Pirates. He did well. Then he got traded over to the Cardinals. He was spectacular there. So he's gonna give you. He had 32 starts last year, so he's gonna be a good fourth guy for the Mets. If that's your fourth guy, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. He's, as you said, nothing too extraordinary, but he's gonna give you 6, hopefully, innings a lot of the time and allow 2, 3, 4 runs. So if he could do that, I'm fine with it. Just hopefully could keep up the numbers he's had over these last few years here because he's been a very underrated pitcher, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. And he doesn't allow a lot of home runs, which is the good part. 0.43 home runs per 9 this past year. The question with him is going to be the walks. He does allow a lot of walks, especially 2021. That was dreadful with the amount of walks that he allowed.
Hmm.
5 walks per 9. Yikes. And that year in general was just a weird, bad year for him. The expected numbers were better for him that year, but he still was awful that year. His expected ERA was 5.02, and his ERA that year was 6.43. But there was also some injury concerns with him prior. That year, there wasn't in particular. That was just a bad year in general. But in years past, where you look at some bad years that he's had, some of it is because of injury, and it's a smaller sample. But this past year, he was very solid. 2.93 ERA, expected ERA 3.86. 2.99 FIP and a 3.72 expected FIP. So, like I said, the expected numbers higher than the actual numbers. Had a 2.0 WAR. Not too bad there, but yeah, you're gonna get a guy that's gonna give you probably realistically a 3.5 to a 4 ERA, which isn't bad. Taiwan Walker was similar in that regard, so it's not too bad there at all.
Yeah, I agree. He's gonna be good for the Mets. I think. I'm happy with him being the fourth guy, completely fine. And the rotation obviously had to be filled out, no doubt. When you lost Degrom, Bassett, Walker, you lost all these guys, and now we're filling them back in. And it's just good to see Mets are going out and really spending this money. We are not used to it, and who knows, maybe more could be in the tank.
100%. And the walks, as much of a concern as it could be, they aren't as big of a concern as it would be with a guy like Walker. Say you brought him back, the walks are definitely lower in that regard, but it's still definitely eyebrow raising that in 2021 he had a 5 walks per 9. So we'll see if that's really who he is, or if he's the guy that he was last year with the 2.5 walks per 9, which is not nearly as bad. Still, maybe like that a bit down, but at the end of the day, it's not like it's anything really too awful there. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, now we'll move on to the final signing. David Robertson, the guy that everybody wanted at the deadline this past year. He's finally a Met, and I'm very happy with this. And the fact that the Mets went out and got a guy that they wanted without giving up any assets from the deadline this past year, it definitely looks good on their part because let's be honest, David Robertson was not going to save them from that dreadful wild card series had they got him. As egregious as Michael Givens was, it's not like David Robertson was going to be the savior of the
Yeah.
team this past year. He was going to be he wouldn't have been. He just wouldn't have been. He would have been better than Michael Givens, but he definitely wasn't. It wasn't the end all be all. And now you got a guy without giving up assets that you really wanted on the team, and that's what we like to say.
Yeah, I'm so happy with this. We wanted him, of course, at the deadline, as you said. Didn't happen. We know the Mets don't like to go the trading route too much, so why not sign him here in the offseason? We went to the Phillies. He was okay with them. Nothing too extraordinary. I mean, I know he does have a little bit of a problem with the walks.
Oh yeah, he's like Adam
So,
Ottavino.
yeah, but even when he walks, he does a good job of getting out of sticky situations. So, if he could hopefully tune down those walks, not give us a lot of pressure situations, kind of be that setup guy. And, as long as you hold down the fort, Edwin Diaz 9 out of 10 times, or maybe 99 out of 100 times, is going to be closing the door. So, I'm happy Robertson. He strikes out batters too. So, he's getting up there in age, but he's definitely still got a little left in him to be very productive for the Mets in the bullpen.
The interesting thing's going to be who else they get for that type of spot because you had Lugo, and it's weird. I view him more as the Lugo replacement than Ottavino. He's
Mm,
similar to Ottavino, but he's also very similar to Lugo. It's weird. He's like, because of the walks, that's where I compare him to Ottavino. But the fact that he's also able to get lefties out, that's where I compare him to Lugo. So I
wow.
find it interesting what exactly he's going to do. And I'm glad that also he did say, obviously, he knew when he was signing the contract that he wasn't going to be the closer, but it was nice to hear him say also he wanted to come to a place to win versus go close somewhere else on a losing team. So that was
Right.
refreshing to hear. But yeah, the walks are definitely a big concern. By the way, I do want to address this comment later on in the episode. We'll address that after we talk about this. But yeah, with Robertson, he was still great last year. 11.4 Ks per 9, just disgusting. 2.40 ERA with both the Cubs and the Phillies this past year. Had a FIP at 3.58, an expected ERA at 3.05, and a expected FIP at 3.71. Not too bad there. You're gonna get some quality outings from him, and his home runs per 9 are very low. Also, they've only been above a 1 twice in his career, back in 2019, but that was a small sample size, and then 2021 with the Tampa Bay Rays, which was also kind of a weird year for him getting back into the MLB after injuries. So there's a lot to like here, and I think they could control the walks. They did it with Ottavino. So if they could just help him with controlling those walks and figuring that out, we're in good shape here. And there's no downside to this signing at all. And I think he has potential to have a career year type despite his age. Outside of that 2011 year, because that was just absolutely ridiculous for him. I
Hmm.
think he has the chance to have a career year type season with the Mets if they could figure out the walks like they did with Ottavino.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if he's going to take over that Seth Lugo or Adam Ottavino role. We're going to have to see. There's definitely got to be another bullpen signing or two remaining for the Mets, no doubt. So we haven't seen Chafin sign yet, have we?
No, we
Or
haven't. But the Mets did bring in a lefty, which I realized that we forgot completely
uh,
to talk about
from
this
the
guy.
Rays? Yeah,
Yeah. Which I mean, do you have more on Robertson, or do you want to just talk about the next signing
yeah. I'm
or
down to.
trade? I should say.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Down to talk about the trade. Just I'm looking forward to Robertson, and I think he's going to be very solid veteran piece. He knows what it takes to win. So let's see how he does.
Yep. And with that said, had to get a banner quickly. The Mets acquired Brooks Raley in a trade. I forgot the
Oh,
prospect's name that they gave up, but who really cares until he's an all-star with the Rays, because that's just what the Rays do. But Brooks Raley, this was a trade that I was over the moon about because it's a relief pitcher. I know that it's weird to be over the moon about a relief pitcher, but it's just the Mets finally are getting a lefty that has a proven track record and a guy
yeah,
that uh, like you can't go wrong with this trade here. You really can't. And he's going to be an upgrade over Joelly. He's going to be. You
yes,
cannot get worse than Joelly. Every year in his career in the MLB, despite his first season, has been better than Joelly Rodriguez's year last year. ERA 2.68, an expected ERA at 2.79. So his expected numbers not too far off with his actual numbers. A 2.74 FIP, had a 10.2 Ks per nine, 2.5 walks per nine, didn't allow the long ball at all at a point 0.5 home runs per nine. You really can't go wrong at all with this trade here. A quality lefty finally in the bullpen. And if anyone's going to be like, oh, well, he's not with the Rays, so he's not going to have the analytics. If you've been paying attention at all this offseason, the Mets have really bolstered their analytic group, especially when it comes to the pitching side of things this offseason with working with Driveline. They got that guy also, I believe, from the Cincinnati Reds, I think. So
yeah,
they've been
yeah, yeah.
making improvements when it comes to the pitching side of things and analytic game. So, and again, they really worked well with Adam Ottavino last year. So who's to say they can't work similarly with Brooks Raley?
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting trade acquisition. He's don't know too much about him, but from what I've seen, his numbers look pretty good. I know he has some good stuff, and there was a pitch in specific of his that's really nasty. Is it his slider? I don't know if you
I
know.
could get that information for you, thanks to
Yeah,
Baseball Savant.
he definitely has some good pitches in his repertoire. So I'm happy with this. He's not going to be worse than Joel. As you said, they needed a lefty. You gave up a bag of chips for him. So, I mean, why not take a shot on this guy? And I think he could really be an emergence out of the bullpen for the Mets here.
It looks like, was it his changeup?
Maybe the change. I think it was changeup or slider,
Yeah, his
but
changeup
it's
and
nasty.
slider look like his two best
Yeah,
pitches there. They also yeah, his changeup he had a 128 batting average against his changeup this past year, so I'd imagine that was the pitch.
yeah,
Um and also his whiff rate on that was ridiculous. Same with his slider though too. His slider had a 35% whiff rate, 29% uh with the changeup. So yeah, Brooks Raley, definitely a lot of excitement there when it comes to his arsenal. And yeah, if you look at the Savant page, it's mostly red. His fastball velo isn't that high, but that's what you expect from lefties to begin with. And then his extension in the seventh percentile. Who cares? I don't. So he has a yeah. I think that you're right about the slider there being the pitch. But regardless, he has two good pitches, which is good enough to get by as a relief pitcher. And I'm sure his fastball will be good enough as well to help out
yeah.
to complement the arsenal. But there's a lot of excitement. Houston Astros let go of him for whatever reason, and I'm sure they regret that because he was really good. Granted, they won a World Series, so maybe they don't, but still, very happy with this trade for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it could be a big thing for the Mets here, and it's no risk at all. So let's see how he does, and I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. And now we'll get the comments. And now that we're done with the conversation there about all the signings and trades, we had a lot there. So we got that done under an hour. That's what I'm impressed about with us.
Yeah,
So,
we did that quick. That was nice.
and I feel like we got a lot, we got in depth there. So happy with that. Uh, but I wanted to get to this comment. I really hope the Mets do it this year, but like every year, let's see how they play in August and September. Yeah,
It's the question.
the Mets went from we're a second half team to we're a first half team, and they need to just play the regular season a little less competitively, not necessarily go for the division. Look at what the Phillies did, and
Hmm.
the only thing that sucks is you don't want to play that wild card series, but who cares if you get hot at the right time? Who cares?
Yeah.
You go in, win those 2 games in the wild card series, and get out of there. Maybe it's in 3. Okay. Maybe it's in 3. Then whatever. You got to just get hot at the right time. And that's what the key for the Mets is this year, is figuring out how to do that, because last year we know that that didn't happen. And last year they also made questionable trades, which we all know about, that didn't help as well. So that's going to be a big key. I agree with this. How they play in August and September is really going to tell me how I feel about
Hmm.
this team.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw when they were regressing heavily in August and September last year, we didn't have much confidence going into the playoffs, and we saw what happened. So it's all about getting hot at the right time, as you said. The Phillies going all the way to World Series when they were struggling, then they got hot at the end and they were on fire and almost won it all. So that's all what it's about in baseball. They need to finish strong and go into the playoffs with momentum. That's what it's about. So we can be a second half collapse like we were last year. I mean, it wasn't a collapse, I guess, since we still made the playoffs, but we blew a huge division lead, and that really kind of, I think, messed with us, and we saw what happened.
Yeah, there's they're definitely gonna have to be better. And this is why I was freaking out the way I was in August and September with the games, because it was more than just the fact that it was regular season games, and even with the division lead, I didn't necessarily care too much about that division, them winning the division regardless. If they won the division, great. But I wanted to see them play good baseball at the right time. And
Yeah.
we just didn't see it. We just didn't see it at all. And that's why I freaked out the way I did. And when every Met fan was trying to be positive Peter and say, there's nothing to worry about, don't worry, there was a
There was
lot
a
to
lot.
worry about.
There was,
Because
no doubt.
look at the Nationals in 2019, how they won their World Series. They got hot at the right time. Look at how the Phillies just went to the World Series. The Rays, I think, were another team that got hot at the right time when they went to the World Series back in 2020. I'm trying to think of other examples, but you get my point. It's a matter of getting hot at the right time. It's more than just how you do in the regular season. You have to get good at the right time, and that's where I have my concerns with this team, especially with an older rotation and everything. I have my concerns there. If they can do that, if they can get hot at the right time, because we saw what seemed like fatigue from the entire team towards the end of the year, and injuries definitely didn't help them as well. A guy like Starling Marte going down, uh, it really didn't help, and it's gonna be crucial for them to try to find a good balance with performing well at the beginning of the season to make sure you get to the playoffs, but also getting hot at the right time. They're going to have to figure out how they do that. I don't know how, but they're going to have to figure that out themselves.
Yep, absolutely. That's what it's about. Um, it's really just about momentum in these playoffs, and the Mets go in on a heater, we're in a good spot. I mean, it's going to be tough to win this division, no doubt, with the teams like the Braves and Phillies here, uh, right on us here. So it's going to be tough, but I mean, I have full faith we're going to make the playoffs again, whether it's wild card, winning the division, and you just gotta go in with confidence, and hopefully the Mets learn from what happened last year, and hopefully it won't happen again. I mean, we got some new faces here, and hopefully Verlander, Scherzer leading the way on the mound, and then we need the hitters to just they got to contribute, man. I mean, we don't know. We're probably gonna get another bat. I think Steve Cohen has been sugarcoating
No
that
question.
definitely. So that'll be great. And you went outside last year, Game 3, getting one hit in an elimination game. That's obviously not good enough at all. So
There.
yeah, they gotta learn how to hit in the playoffs, and the pitching I think is not too much to worry with how they look right now. So it's really going to come down to the bats, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they offer Correa that $300 million deal. Where do you pivot? There's nobody left, and if my
Mm-hmm.
question is, if you were willing to offer 300 million to a player, why did you not go in and offer Trey Turner a contract at the very least?
Yep, that would have
Maybe he
been
would have took
some.
less money.
He seemed, yeah. I mean, he obviously wanted. It seemed like he really wanted to go to Philadelphia, be back with Bryce Harper. But hey, the money
Maybe he
talks.
wanted to be a Scherzer.
Who knows? Yeah,
He
good
wanted to be
point.
on the East Coast. That was really all the preference was. It seemed
Yeah.
like he did want Philly, yes, but to me, I find it interesting that they didn't even offer a contract there. Same goes for, you could argue maybe they should have offered a contract to Swanson, but I don't know. Or just any of the top shortstops in general. I
Yeah.
find it interesting that it was only Correa that they were willing to offer that contract to. But now
Exactly.
let's see what they do, because I feel like now you got to go to the trade market if you want to get a big time bat, and it
Rafael
seems like now they
Devers.
want to.
I
I don't
don't
know
think
how
the
to
Red
feel
Sox
about
are gonna
Devers.
Nah, they wouldn't get rid of him anyways, probably. But yeah, they would have to go up the amount, at least 80 more for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm a little skeptical. I like
Mm-hmm.
Beatty and I'd like for him to stay, but if you could get Rafael Devers, you probably have to pull the trigger there. I don't know what exactly the cost is going to be there. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that you could get, because I don't know who else is out there. That's the issue. It really sucks that J Ram never became an option.
Oh, yeah, that's someone I've wanted always for a
That would have
bit.
been a that would have been perfect.
Yeah, him and Lindor, third short. Then you got McNeil. Alonso, that infield is easily right up there for the best.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with the lineup, because they definitely need to add. I also don't mind Verlander over DeGrom, because at least Verlander is proven in the playoffs. Well, Verlander had a shaky playoffs, no
Yeah.
question. But I mean, DeGrom has not been good in big moments at times. We know that
Mm-hmm.
World Series start was not good. Even this wild card spot was a little or start was a bit shaky for him, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah, it was not great. We didn't get to see a lot of DeGrom in the playoffs, obviously. But in the times we did, he definitely looked shaky. And Verlander, this postseason run with the Astros wasn't anything too special. But in general, he's shown to be big in big moments. So, yeah, I agree in that aspect. He's has some more proven track record in the playoffs as opposed to DeGrom for sure.
Yeah, and winning a World Series, also good. And again, like we mentioned last episode, should have more Cy Youngs. Thanks, Rick Porcello.
Yes.
I still don't understand. I really
Mhm.
just don't get that one at all. But
Nope.
uh, yeah, I'm excited for Verlander. I'm gonna get his jersey probably as well.
Yeah.
So excited to see what he could do here. And I also like the fact that he's another one that's really just heavy into the analytics, because he wants to get better still. Despite being 40 years old, he wants to get better. So that's what we like to see. That
Yeah.
is what we like to see. But do you have anything else to add for the episode at all? Because I feel like we covered everything in
Yeah,
depth
we
enough here.
covered. Yeah, we covered a lot for sure. Who knows how much more is on the way? I mean, just like that, in a month and a half, we're back at spring training pretty soon, right? Or well, not well, at least reporting to camp. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's gonna be exciting. We'll see. I mean, if another big thing happens, we'll obviously be here to break it to you. And I'm happy with what the Mets have done so far this offseason. I don't think you can complain much at all.
Yeah. And Steve Cohen has indicated that it's nowhere near done. They still need to add a bat,
Hmm.
still need to add some bullpen pieces, and then we're on our way there.
Now we're
But
rolling.
I'll say this, that I'm already more excited for next season than I was for last season going into the year. Even
Me
though they
too.
add Scherzer, Canna, Escobar, Marte all within like a week, I'm still more excited going into this season.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But that's going to be where we end things. Thank you so much for watching. If you are on YouTube, to leave a like and subscribe, turn on your notifications too. And then if you're listening to the audio version, give us a rating and review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will see you guys in the next episode, hopefully soon with big news with the Mets.
Yes, let's go.